All right. So the reason that I asked all of you guys to get on here is just to rally and talk about what we have in the works basically for April 1st through the end of September. And I know some of you have heard us talk about this in the past and, for a couple of years maybe even, but we just never really truly put the full effort into it. But and Megan and I were having this conversation today. It's like, this is really now is the time. For those of you who were in Tampa in the fall, you got a glimpse of some changes that were going to be taking place and really got to be involved in just a complete shift, I guess you could say, on where our team is headed and the momentum, the atmosphere, the culture, everything shifted when we were in Tampa. And we just all really decided that it was time to make some great things happen. And with the momentum that we've had since October, especially since the first of the year, we are really going to make a huge push towards National Marketing Director. And I had a kind of nice Megan, I agree, was like, I had a conversation with the ladies that are in my Brave Leaders group last week, and one of the other ladies actually brought it up, and she said, when you are ready to go for it, do you think you should tell your team or not? And there was this big debate, and I just listened for a while, and finally I just said, you have to tell people. Everybody wants to be led, but more importantly, we want to know where we're being led to. I mean, I know I do. I like to know where I'm going. And, like, for example, with Debbie being our National Marketing Director, like, she's going for 75 Club. So it's nice to know what her goals are so that we can help attribute to that rather than just working aimlessly, wondering, I wonder what's going on with Debbie's business. Like, is this helping her at all? So looking at National Marketing Director, obviously it's something that is our team. It's never a one-person gig. It's the entire team or those who want to be involved in it. So one of the questions that we're going to pose to you through this quick call is, are you in? Like, are you ready to do this? Because we've said it enough times and we've put it aside, and we'll say it and we'll put it aside. And it just feels right. And we have a long ways to go. We have structure that's required. We have volume that's required. But it just feels like this is our time to make it happen. And if several of you are involved in Goal Getters, so you're seeing a lot of things happening there, learning a lot. I know I've learned a ton through a lot of those things. Thank you, Jerry. She says she's in. It's always nice when something pops up on the chat. I'm like, okay, somebody's hearing me. But this is not something that you have to do either. And by saying that you're committing to be a part of it doesn't mean that all of a sudden you have to forget everything else in your life and solely focus on Juice Plus. That is not it at all. And in fact, what we want to do is anybody who says, yeah, like, I'm ready to do this too, I'm ready to make this commitment, is to look where your business is right now. Yes, we have one more week left in the month, but where is your business now? And where would you like to see it at the end of September? And it could be anywhere. For some people, it might be like, I just want to add 1 or 2 customers a month. And that would be fantastic because that's going to contribute to the overall volume. Some people might be saying, I want to make it to sales coordinator and be in POB. I mean, we don't know until we look at every person that's ready to be involved and where your business currently is and what that looks like. But then really mapping it out month to month to month. What are your goals? And we've already done that. I've mapped out where we were December, January, and the end of February, and where we can be and need to be by the end of September. So for example, just to kind of give you an idea, guessing where we will be at the end of March, because of course I don't know until those numbers come into play. But the end of February, our total team volume was 20,300. So I'm thinking that by the end of March, we should be at 21.8, just based on the increases that we saw over the last several months. So if we go from that, and let's say the end of April, I put down as 23.6, that's going to be about 1,800 points and an increase. Okay, so it's really not a huge number when you look at the entire team, and here's why. For example, During this month alone, in the month of March, we've added 11 new team members. If 11 new team members all got their HLP, that's almost 1,400 points just in HLPs alone. So these numbers are very doable. But I want to make sure that everybody who says, yes, I'm in, actually buys in. It's not going to do us any good for me just to pick random, they're not random, to pick numbers and set these as the goals and say, okay, here's our goal. Now everybody's got to go work and let's do this. And you're like, well, I didn't even know what the number was. So I don't want it to be a case of where I'm just putting it out there and you have to just say, okay, Sherry, great. I want everybody's buy-in on this. But the way it all works out is July, August, and September, those 3 months combined, we have to have 100,000 for our pay line. So roughly, the 33.3 each month. But the way I've staggered it, it'll be a constant increase month after month. So that was part of the whole thing, was looking at these numbers and deciding, does this make sense? So here's where part of the fun comes into play, is once those numbers are shared with y'all, if you agree with these numbers, and anybody who says I'm committed, and Megan's getting excited because she knows what's about to be said. So for example, at the end of April, if we hit 23.6, then I put $100 into the pot. So every month that we hit our numbers, there's another $100 that I'm literally going to put into a savings account, so I don't have to in September come up with $600. But we'll have that money that we will then be able to use to celebrate everything that we've accomplished in those 6 months. And if we're at conference as an NMD team, then we're going to whoop it up there. And if some people are not able to go, which I'm hoping everybody can be there, we'll have some celebration locally too, so that we can all participate and enjoy that money. And that's just kind of like the baseline of it. I know Megan was chomping at the bit to say something because she went up. So you want to say something? No? Okay. So we're looking at a minimum, if we hit our the month to month, is a $600 of fun conference cash for our team to have, whether that's a dinner, prizes. I don't know for sure until I see who's all into this and is ready to do it. And here's how easy this can be done, guys. Basically, we look at it monthly, but it's just about being duplicatable. So I just mentioned we have 11 new team members this month. If every new team member gets their HLP and then continues on to VF, and then from VF, it's sales, it's having a qualified business, but it's all about duplicating. So if I'm a new team member, I get my HLP, I help somebody else get their HLP, who helps somebody else get their HLP. And it's duplicating that process. It's duplicating the process of not only getting my first promotion to HLP, but now it's fast tracking to VF. And then it's helping my next person fast track to VF. And then that person's helping their, it's just duplicating this over and over and over again and adding customers as we go. So it's not rocket science at all. It's just as simple as working the system, staying consistent, and being part of the community. I mean, I think that's really the biggest piece of this, is just being plugged in and allowing the community to work the way it should be working. And that's what we're seeing happening a lot. The last 3 months, we've been just shy of 100 orders each month. And January and February. And in March right now, we're at like 91 orders with still a week to go. So it can happen. It can definitely happen. And then it's also just making sure that we're taking care of the customers that we currently have. Because when we're adding that many people and that many orders, our volume should be increasing at an exponential rate. It's increasing, but it's not increasing at that exponential rate. So what that tells me is that our funnel is open on the bottom. So even though we have customers coming in, we have a lot of customers that are going out as well. And that's going to happen. That's just part of it. But we want to make sure that we're providing great customer care and that there's always somebody in that pipeline so that we have new people coming in all the time. And the last thing that I want to say before I stop talking and open it up to whoever wants to speak is really utilizing the connection call system and Kurt's method that he taught us. So it's getting either somebody on the telephone or at a coffee shop, getting them to an event, whatever it happens to be. We are just the people that are inviting. Let the resources that we have be what actually shares, and then offering people the business. It's not just offering them a product, but it's also offering them the business and let them make that decision for themselves. Of course, we want to steer them in the right direction. You know, if somebody's only ordering a duo, the red and the green, it may not make sense for them to be a team member because they're not really going to recoup enough money to make that worth their investment. But we need to help people see what their potential is and help them make the best decision for them. And we do that collectively. It doesn't always have to be me who you're having on the phone call. You know, you can have anybody on our team or Krista's team or Debbie. And I need to say this too, is Debbie would have been on here with us tonight. But for those of you who don't know, Frank's mom passed away this morning. So she is tending to Frank and his family right now. But Debbie is available for us. Krista and all of the people on the journey are available to help us with this because this is something that we do as a team. And it's a lot more fun when you're doing it as a team. So does anybody have anything that they would like to add or ask or share? I know somebody has to, right, Megan? Somebody say something.
Yeah, I would have said something. Clayton, yeah, it's bothering me. I think this is great. I mean, I'm 100% on board, 110% on board. Y'all all know that. So I'm ready to do it. And I've told Sherry when we were in Tampa, this is the year and it's time to, quit sitting on our hands and let's do it. And what was I going to say? Oh, they say, I was thinking about this a minute ago when I was in the bathtub. They say, it takes 3 to 5 years for NMD. Here we are, and so let's stay within that window of that 3 to 5 years and make it happen.
Yes. And I mentioned too, obviously I said there was the money that goes into the pool every month, but there will also be what I was thinking about before I got on here tonight was just looking at monthly activity and monthly focuses, and maybe it's weekly focuses, because sometimes when we look at too big of a focus, too big of a time frame, it's easy to lose focus. I mean, if you're in Goal Getters, you probably feel like, okay, I'm starting to get it's a little much now. Mary, he's too cute. We're 90 days in, so it can start to lose momentum. So we want to make sure that that momentum stays there with celebrations in the midst of it and little goals and activities in the midst to keep the excitement high. And like I said, it's every single person can contribute, whether it's 1 order a month or if it's getting 5 orders in an HLP a month or more. I mean, every single thing will contribute to that. And I personally, obviously, I'm going to do my best to not just lead, but to lead by example and do everything that I can to make sure I'm constantly adding new reps and new orders and doing exactly what I'm asking everyone else to do. So, does anybody have any questions or comments, or you're just like, whatever? It's weird because this is supposed to be like fun and exciting and everybody is muted but me. It's not
the family's in the car now, so I didn't want it to get loud.
I love it, Mary.
I have a hotel room with my husband and son in it, so. But I'm ready. I'm excited for you, Sherry. We'll do this.
I think we're excited. I'm excited for everybody because it will be just so many big wins along the way. Like I can just see, 4 or 5 or 6 people walking across that stage as a new sales coordinator or as a new senior sales coordinator, and just being, a minimum.
Or a new Q.
Or a new Q&MD. Thank you. A new Q&MD. All of these different things that we have going on. Rachel says, let's do this. Thanks, Rach. She's cooking dinner tonight. She sent me a text beforehand that she wasn't going to have her picture on or camera on. But yeah, it's exciting time. And this is like our first. We've never been a part of like a true drive towards this. We've talked and we've heard, but we've never really been right in it. And I'm going to share one quick little thing that happened. This would have been about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, when Spencer was home from spring break. I remember exactly where I was standing in my kitchen. I was the only one in the house, and I was getting ready to eat my breakfast, and I said my normal prayer that I say before I eat. But then I just said, God, if this is your will, like if I don't think that God had this plan of Sherry Snyder being an NMD. I think part of this plan for me is to just help empower people, whether it be through their health, their finances. I don't know. There's just something that I'm just feeling right now. And I just remember saying, God, if this is your will, just continue to bring the people. We will continue to do the work. I will continue to put in the effort and do the appointments and everything that I'm being asked to do. But if it's what your will is, then continue to bring the people. And later that day, I did a connection call with Debbie and this woman who's going to be joining our team in a couple of months. And that morning, right before that, I opened up my devotion, which is called Unshakable. And I read it for that day. And it was the story of the fish and the loaves. And we've all heard it, right? We've all know the story that there wasn't going to be enough food to feed the thousands. And Jesus said to the disciples, go just gather everything you can find. Knowing, one, there wasn't going to be enough for what they found. Knowing, two, he was going to perform a miracle. And knowing, three, they were going to doubt him. But yet they went out, they gathered everything, they brought it back, and they said, there's not enough. And he said, but what do you have? And they had to take account for everything that they did have. So they counted the little pieces and they said, this is what we have. And they offered it to Jesus. And in my devotional, it just said, you have to take account for the things that you have before the miracle can be performed. And there's so many times that I've looked at our business, like I look at the pay line, I look at the structure and say, I don't have enough. Like this is something that I've really strived for, but I don't have enough. I don't have the structure, or I don't have the volume. It'll never happen. But what I learned that day is I had to take account for all of the amazing things that we do have in our team. And now that's allowing God to then perform the miracle and just letting it multiply. So for those things to happen on that same day, and then my daughter asks me if I can start watching my grandson even more, and I had to tell her no, that I couldn't do it. And Megan knew, and Krista knew, because I was really struggling with having to tell her, no, I can't. In fact, I need to watch him less. She might be watching this later, but I had this conversation with her yesterday. So I tell her, no, honey, I can't. I need to have a break. Like I have goals and I have plans, and I'm at a stage in my life where I want to be able to make those decisions of what I'm doing. That same stinking devotional book the next day, after I tell her, I open it up and I read it, and it's all about removing the, not obstacles. Thank you. Removing the distractions that are preventing you from fulfilling God's purpose and plan for you. So right after I tell Danielle that I'm not going to be able to do that, I read that devotion. And the next day, because now keep in mind, Danielle's in a little bit of a panic too, like how am I going to do this with my son? And she finds out that she can now work from home permanently Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and had just found childcare on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And it was just that whole level of trust. Like I had to trust that this was what was right. And then I get that devotion about removing the distractions, which also was a blessing to her. And I just feel like there's all of these things that keep coming and coming and coming. Y'all, before I did this call, I was like, what am I doing? I was thinking, am I crazy? Like, should I even be having the Zoom tonight? Are they all going to think I'm on drugs? Like, you don't know what you're talking about. We're never going to make it. All those negative thoughts came through my head again. It's like just had to push it aside. That whole purple marble effect. When you're on the brink of something, that's when it's the easiest to quit. I was like, no, we're not quitting this. This is what we've got going on. So now that I've cried again, which I didn't intend to do, but it just felt like the right thing to share tonight, I am going to please somebody else speak, and I'm going to stop the recording.